Hello, I'm Nurul Athar, PMPC PHMS and Agile Certified, and welcome to my presentation on PMBOK7 edition. In this part, we are going to explore delivery performance domain. So let's start delivery performance domain. First, we'll see some definitions. The following definitions are relevant to the delivery performance domain. Requirement: a condition or capability that is necessary to be present in a product, service or result to satisfy a business need. Work breakdown structure (WBS), a hierarchical decomposition of total scope of work to be carried out by the project teams to accomplish the project objectives and create the required deliverables. Definition of done (DoD), a checklist of all the criteria required to be met so that a deliverable can be considered ready for customer use. Quality: the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics fulfills requirement. Cost of quality: all costs incurred over the life of the product by investment in preventing non-conformance to requirements, appraisal of product or service for conformance to requirements, and failure to meet requirements. Delivery performance domain. The delivery performance domain addresses activities and functions associated with delivering the scope and quality that project was undertaken to achieve. Effective execution of this performance domain results in following desired outcomes. Projects contribute to business objectives and advancement of strategy. Projects realize the outcomes they were initiated to deliver. Project benefits are realized in the time frame in which they were planned. The project team has clear understanding of requirements. Stakeholders accept and are satisfied with the project deliverables. Projects support strategy execution and advancement of business objectives. Project delivery focuses on meeting requirements, scope and quality expectation to produce the expected deliverables that will drive the intended outcomes. Projects provide business value by developing new products or services, solving problems, or fixing features that were defective or suboptimal. Projects often deliver multiple outcomes that stakeholders may value differently. For example, one group may value ease of use or the time-saving aspects of deliverable, while another group values its economic return or market differentiation. Delivery of value, deliverables, quality, suboptimal outcomes, interaction with other performance domain, and checking results. So let's explore one by one. First we'll see delivery of value. Projects that use development approach that supports releasing deliverables throughout the project lifecycle can start delivering value to business, customer, or other stakeholders during the project. Projects that deliver the bulk of their deliverable at the end of the project lifecycle generate value after the initial deployment. Business value often continues to be captured long after initial project has ended. Frequently, longer product and program life cycles are used to measure the benefits and value contributed by earlier projects. A business case document often provides the business justification and projection of anticipated business value from a project. The format of this business case varies based on the development approach and life cycle selected. Examples include business case documents with detailed estimates of return on investment or a lean startup canvas that describe high-level elements such as the problem, solution, revenue streams, and cost structures. These business documents demonstrate how the project outcomes align with organization business objectives. Project authorizing documents attempt to quantify the project's desired outcomes to allow for periodic measurement. These documents may range from detailed business plans or high-level roadmap that provide an overview of the project lifecycle, major release, key deliverables, reviews, and other top-level information. Deliverables. In this context, deliverables refers to the interim or final product, service, or results from a project. The deliverables enable the outcomes that the project was undertaken to create. Deliverables reflect the stakeholder requirements, scope and quality, along with the long-term impact to profit, people, and the planet. Requirement, scope definition, moving target of completion. Let's see requirements. A requirement is a condition or capability that is necessary to be present in a product, service, or result to satisfy a business need. Requirements can be very high level, such as those found in business case, or they can be very detailed, such as those found in acceptance criteria for a component of a system. Projects that have well-defined scope, which is relatively stable, generally work with project stakeholders to elicit and document the requirements during upfront planning. Projects that have high-level understanding of the requirements at the start of the project may evolve those requirements over time. Some projects discover requirements during project work. Requirements elicitation, evolving and discovering requirements, and managing requirements. Let's explore one by one. Requirement elicitation. To elicit means to draw out, bring forth, or evoke. There is more to collecting requirements than interviewing or conducting focus groups. Sometimes requirements are drawn out by analyzing data, observing processes, reviewing defect logs, or other methods. Part of eliciting requirements is documenting them and gaining stakeholder agreement. Well-documented requirements meet the following criteria. Clear? There is only one way to interpret the requirement. Concise. The requirement is stated in as few as possible. Verifiable. There is a way to verify that the requirement has been met. Consistent. There is no contradictory requirements. Complete. The set of requirements represent the entirety of the recurrent projects or product needs. Traceable. Each requirement can be recognized by unique identifier. Let's see evolving and discovering requirements. On projects that do not have clearly defined requirements upfront, prototypes, demonstration, storyboards, and mock-ups can be used to evolve the requirements. In this situation, stakeholders are more likely to be taken "I will know it when I see it" approach to developing requirements. Evolving requirements are common in projects using iterative, incremental, or adaptive development approaches. In some cases, new opportunities arise that change requirements. Managing requirements. Regardless of whether requirements are documented upfront, evolved along the way, or discovered, there is a need to manage them. Ineffective requirements management can lead to rework, scope creep, customer dissatisfaction, budget overruns, schedule delay, and overall project failure. Therefore, many projects have one accountable person for requirements management. This person may serve as a business analyst, product owner, value engineer, or other title. Those individuals managing requirements may use specified software, backlogs, index cards, traceability matrices, or some other method to ensure there is an appropriate level of requirement flexibility versus stability, and that new changing requirements are agreed by all relevant stakeholders. Now see scope definition. As requirements are identified, the scope that will meet them is defined. Scope is the sum of the products, services, and results to be provided as a project. As the scope is defined, it creates the need for more requirements identification. Therefore, like requirements, scope can be well defined upfront. It can evolve over time, or it can be discovered. Scope decomposition, completion of deliverables. So let's see scope decomposition. A scope can be elaborated using a scope statement to identify the major deliverables associated with the project and acceptance criteria for each deliverable. A scope can also be elaborated by decomposing it into lower level of detail using work breakdown structure (WBS). A WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of total scope of work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish the project objectives and create the required deliverables. Each level down in the hierarchy represents a greater level of detail of the deliverable and work required to produce it. Another way to elaborate scope is by identifying the themes of the project in an agile charter, roadmap, or as a part of the product hierarchy. Themes represent large group of customer value reflected as user stories associated by a common factor, such functionality, data source, or security level. To accomplish themes, the project team develop epics, which are logical containers for large user story that is too big to complete within an iteration. Epics may be decomposed into features, a set of related requirements typically described as short phrase or function, which represent specific behaviors of a product. Each feature will have multiple user stories. A user story is a brief description of an outcome for a specific user, which is a promise for a conversation to clarify details. The project team defines story details at the last responsible moment to avoid wasteful planning should the scope change. The story is clear and concise, represent of a requirement written from the end user's perspective. Completion of deliverables. Depending on the approach used, there are different ways to describe component or project completion. Acceptance or completion criteria. The criteria required to be met before the customer accepts the deliverable or before the project is considered complete are often documented in a scope statement. Technical performance measures. The technical specification for product may be documented in a separate specification document, or they may be documented as an extension to WBS. This extension, known as WBS dictionary, elaborates the information for each deliverable work package in the WBS. Definition of done. The definition of done is used with adaptive approaches, particularly in software development projects. It is a checklist of all the criteria required to be met so that the deliverable can be considered ready for customer use. Moving targets of completion. Projects that operate in uncertain, rapidly changing environments face the situation that are good enough for release are done. Goal may be subject to change. In markets where competitors are releasing new products frequently, the features planned for new release may be updated. Likewise, new technology trends such as mobile devices or wearable devices might trigger a change in direction or introduce new requirements. In these environments, the definition of the project goal being delivered or done is constantly moving. Project teams track the planned rate of project goal achievement relative to the rate of progress toward completion. The longer the project takes to complete, the further the project goal of done is likely to move. This is sometimes referred as done drift. Figure 2-21 Scenario for developing a smartwatch. Figure 2-21 shows a scenario for developing a new smartwatch. The initial schedule shows 12 months to develop the watch with the initial set of capabilities and features. As competitors launch similar products, the initial set of capabilities and features increase to stay relevant with the market. This pushes the launch date to month 14. At 13 months, another competitor launches products with even more capabilities. Adding these capabilities would delay the launch to month 16. At some point, a decision will be made whether to release the product as is even though it doesn't have the latest features, or continue to update the features prior to launch. Projects that operate in more stable environment often face scope creep. This is when additional scope or requirements are accepted without adjusting the corresponding schedule, budget, or resource needs. To combat scope creep, project Teams use a change control system where all changes are evaluated for the potential value they bring to the project and the potential resources, time, and budget needed to realize the potential value. The project team then present the changes to the project governance body, project owner, or executive sponsor for formal approval. Now see quality. Delivery is more than just scope and requirements. Scope and requirement focus on what needs to be delivered. Quality focuses on the performance levels that are required to be met. Quality requirements may be reflected in the completion criteria, definitions of done, and statement of work or requirement documentation. Much of the costs associated with quality are borne by sponsoring organization and are reflected in policies, procedures, and work processes. For example, organizational policies that govern how work is performed and procedures that prescribe work processes are often part of the organization's quality policy. The cost of overhead, training, and process audit are borne by organizations, though they are employed by the project. Inherent in projects balancing the quality needs of the processes and products with the cost associated with meeting those needs. Now you see cost of quality, cost of change, cost of quality. The cost of quality methodology is used to find the appropriate balance for investing in quality, prevention, and appraisal to avoid defect or product failures. This model identifies four categories of costs associated with quality: prevention, appraisal, internal failure, and external failure. Prevention and appraisal costs are associated with the cost of compliance to quality requirements. Internal and external failures costs are associated with the cost of non-compliance. Prevention, appraisal, internal failure, external failure. Let's see. Prevention. Prevention costs are incurred to keep defects and failure out of the product. Prevention costs avoid quality problems. They are associated with the design, implementation, and maintenance of the quality management system. They are planned and incurred before actual operation. Examples include product or service requirements such as the establishment of specifications for incoming materials, processes, finished products, and services. Quality planning such as the creation of plans for quality, reliability, operations, productions, and inspection. Quality assurance such as the creation and maintenance of the quality system, and training such as the development and preparation and maintenance of programs. Appraisal. Appraisal. Appraisal costs are incurred to determine the degree of conformance to quality requirements. Appraisal costs are associated with measuring and monitoring activities related to quality. These costs may be associated with the evaluation of purchased materials, processes, products, and services to ensure that they conform to specification. They could include verifications such as checking incoming material, process setup, and products against agreed specification. Quality audits such as confirmation that the quality system is functioning correctly, and supplier ratings such as assessment and approval of supplier of products and services. Internal failure. Internal failures costs are associated with finding and correcting defects before the customer receives the product. These costs are incurred when the results of work fail to reach design quality standards. Examples include waste, such as performance of unnecessary work or holding enough stock to account for errors, poor organization or communication; scrap, such as defective product or materials that cannot be repaired, used, or sold; rework or rectification, such as correction of defective material or errors; and failure analysis, such as activities required to establish the cause of internal product or service failure. Now we'll see external failure. External failure costs are associated with defects found after customer has the product with remediation. Note that to consider these failures holistically requires thinking about the project's product while it is in operation after months or years, not just at the handover date. External failures costs occur when products or services that fail to reach design quality standards are not detected until after they have reached the customer. Examples include repairs or servicing for both return and products and those that are deployed. Warranty claims such as failed product that are replaced or services that are reperformed under a guarantee. Complaints for all work and costs associated with handling and servicing customers' complaint. Returns for handling and investigation of rejected or recalled products including transport cost. And reputation, where reputation and public perception can be damaged depending on the type and severity of defects. To optimize deliver value, early inspection and review work focused on finding quality issues as soon as possible are good investment. Attempts to test quality late in the development lifecycle are likely to fail because discovering quality issues late in development is time and cost prohibitive due to high rates of scrap and rework, along with the ripple effects to downstream outputs and stakeholders. Cost of change. Cost of change. Figure 2-22 cost of change curve. The later a defect is found, the more expensive is it to correct. This is because design and development work have typically already occurred based on the flawed components. Also, activities are more costly to modify as the life cycle progresses since more stakeholders are impacted. This phenomenon is characterized by the cost of change curve. See figure 2-22 cost. To counter the impact of the cost of change curve, project teams design project processes to build in quality. This approach can include quality analysts working with designers and engineers to understand and determine how best to achieve quality during each step in project lifecycle. Being proactive about quality work helps avoid the high cost of change associated with fixing quality issues discovered later in the life cycle. It is quicker and more cost efficient to fix a design problem between two engineers than a component problem affecting hundreds of units or to recall a product impacting thousands of customers. Now see suboptimal outcomes. All projects attempt to deliver outcomes, though some may fail to do so or may produce suboptimal outcomes. The potential for suboptimal outcomes exists in every project. In the case of fully experimental project, the organization is attempting to achieve a breakthrough such as the creation of completely new technology. For example, this requires deliberate investment in an uncertain outcome. Companies that produce new medicines or compounds may experience several failures before finding a successful formula. Some projects may fail to deliver outcomes because the market opportunity has passed or competitors were first to market with their offering. Effective project management can minimize negative outcomes, but such possibilities are part of uncertainty of attempting to produce unique deliverables. Now see interaction with other performance domains. The delivery performance domain is the culmination of work done in planning performance domain. The delivery cadence is based on the way work is structured in development approach and lifecycle performance domain. The project work performance domain enables the deliveries by establishing processes, managing physical resources, managing procurements, and so forth. Project team members perform the work in this performance domain for the relevant stakeholders. The nature of the work to create the deliveries will influence how the project team navigates uncertainty that impact the projects. Checking results. Table 2-8 checking outcomes delivery performance domain. Table 2-8 identifies the outcome on the left and ways of checking them. Right. Outcome. Projects contribute to business objectives and advancement of strategy. Check. The business plan and organization strategic plan along with project authorizing documents demonstrate that the project deliverables and business objective are aligned. Outcome. Projects realize the outcome they were initiated to deliver. Check. The business case and underlying data indicate the project is still on track to realize the intended outcomes. Outcome. Project benefits are realized in the time frame in which they were planned. Check. The benefits realization plan, business case, and our schedule indicate that the financial metrics and schedule deliveries are being achieved as planned. Outcome. The project team has a clear understanding of the requirement. Check. In predicative development, the little change in initial requirements reflects understanding. In project where requirements are evolving, clear understanding of requirements may not take place until well into the project. Outcome. Stakeholders accept and are satisfied with project deliverables. Check. Interviews, observation, and end-user feedback indicate stakeholder satisfaction with deliverables. Level of complaints and return can also be used to indicate satisfaction. Okay, that brings us to end of my presentation. Thanks for watching. In next presentation, we are going to explore measurement performance domain. I hope you would have found this information useful. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel.